Hello and welcome back to the It's Only Kids Football Podcast. And today's guest is a familiar face. Michael Fox spent 14 years at Peterborough United Academy, has written coaching curriculums and delivered outstanding sessions for the Football DNA app. He's now helping young players thrive as head coach of the Focusing on Excellence Football Academy. And if that's not enough, he also teaches PE. So unlike us, he actually knows how to get children to do what he says. This is Michael's second appearance on the podcast after a stunning debut. Today, he's back to tackle our questions on playing out from the back, mixed ability groups, and plenty more. Joining me, as always, is my assistant manager and co-host, Mike Clark. Let's get into it. Michael Fox, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you, mate. Like I say, it's been a eventful season. First season in Grassroots, really, with one of our teams. So it's been good. Loads of learning going on from there. But yeah, no, it's been good.
I want to know something, right? Because Michael Clark took offence to me calling you Foxy in a private exchange between us. What do you are you allowed? Can you go straight in with Foxy? Or have you got to earn those stripes?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's fine, mate. Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that.
I said to him, "How dare you just go straight in with a Foxy?" There's been a bit of foreplay, yeah, we did an episode, but he went straight in for it.
But listen, right, I've got very strict rules around Welchie, right? So a lot of people call me Welchie, but you got to earn that right. You can't come straight in with that. So you're a lot more easygoing than I am. You're a proper coach, whereas we're just two Burks from Leon C. So I want to know, how have you found coaching at Grassroots? What you say about lessons you've learned? What have so far up to this point? What has been the experience for you?
It's been an eye opener, to be honest with you. I mean, there's this big myth that there's a big gulf between Grassroots and academy. And I don't see it like that at all. Obviously, I think there's a lot of things the grassroots game could learn from academy, and likewise, I think academies could learn things from the grassroots game. But I mean, one thing that's jumped out for me, particularly, has probably been the kids don't really get as much game time. That's been one thing that's been a bit of a struggle. I think we have 50-minute, the under 10s they have 50-minute games, so it's like 225. So managing that's quite difficult. The players don't get tired, whereas we used to be able to get them to the stage of being tired in the academy because they'd play 80 minutes. Sometimes they'd play 80 minutes a week. So that's been a challenge. But other than that, I mean, I've been pleasantly surprised with the level of the standard of football around here, to be honest with you. I mean, the pitches are sometimes a bit of a challenge, but I like that. It's not perfect. But yeah, no, it's been good. I've enjoyed it. I've not changed the way I approach a game at all. I've been quite honest that with the parents that we've got, I don't know any other way, so I'm quite very professional. We get there 45 minutes before kickoff. We have a proper warm up. We try and give each player an individual player development plan. These are the things that you're doing really well. Continue them. We'll try and add a few layers to that. These are the things that we've noticed you could maybe try and add to your game. So it might be one of the strikers trying to use his left foot, not always going on his right. Just silly little things like that that are going to try and help them really. But yeah, it's I've enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Foxy, tell us a little bit more about.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Uh,
whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, listen, pump the brakes, my friend. Pump the brakes. You can't jump in on that.
he said it was fine. I'm going with it. Listen, Foxy, the old mate. Um, this personal development plan you just throwed out there, I think that's a brilliant idea, actually. But tell us a little bit more about that and how you go about delivering that, how you um, give it to the parents, to the kids. What does it actually look like?
Yeah, so we basically, I mean, they've been around in academy football for a long time. I always sort of looked at some of them and thought there's far too much information on there. I don't like it being a grading system, if you like. So I don't like. I mean, I've seen lots of them evolve over the years. Some that I didn't like, some that I thought, okay, I quite like that. We've tried to keep it real simple, so I don't like things like saying. How good they are technically, and we'll mark them out of 10. I don't like things like that because I think it's more of an opinion. We try and ask the player what it is they want to get better at first and foremost, and you'd be surprised at what some of them say. Some of them might say defending, some of them might say dribbling, some of them might say goal scoring, things like that. I think it's important that they have a bit of ownership over their game. And then we'll also look at, like I've said, one thing that we find that they're doing really well. So we've got one lad who's a really good dribbler. He runs really well with the ball, but ultimately we can't say he's completed that. There's lots of layers that you can add to it. So it might be attacking both sides of the defender, not just being, brave to go on his strongest foot all the time. And then there'll be something that we'll notice that we could maybe try and add to their game. And it might be things like trying to get your eyes up more. It might be the end part of his dribble, for instance, or the before part of his dribble. If we're saying that he's really good at the dribbling, can we get him more goes of it? So it might be that he not be hearing to get on the ball, or his receiving skills aren't good enough, so the ball bounces off him and he doesn't get to dribble as much. Just things like that. And then we just try and keep it simple and have a little print out for the players and give that to them. We've not done any meetings as such with players and parents yet, but we're always in dialogue with the players in terms of, how do you think it's going? And if things need to be tweaked, then we can do that as and when.
And is that something you give them at the start of the season, and then you speak to them throughout the season, or is it start of the season, end of the season? How did you get on?
Yeah, so we couldn't give them at the start of the season because they're a fresh bunch of players, so we needed to really get to know them. So we tried to let them sort of embed in the group and allow us to get to know them before we started to hand things like that out. Um, we also have things that we just have. These are things that we all do. So we all try and pass the ball strong. We all work really hard off the ball. All them sort of things. They're just things that we all try and do. And then obviously we got to know the players a little bit more, and we're still working things out about them now. I mean, we've only been working with them for 4 or 5 months. So we're still learning new things about them all the time. So yeah, it's sort of an ongoing thing. And like I say, it's just, I think it's nice that they have something that they feel they can work towards.
Your emotional regulation on the sidelines, Michael, how's that been?
We had a cup game last week, and the team that we played against, I don't think that they've been beaten, to be honest. I think nines and tens they didn't beat them. A lot of the players that we got in our team are from other teams, so they know them really well, and they're like, oh, they're really good, and da da da. I had, I mean, it was a cup game, so it was a knockout game. We ended up going 2-0 up. It went to 2-2. We lost on penalties. I had no emotion in terms of, I felt really bad for the players, but I didn't feel like, I don't get animated in terms of things like that. It doesn't frustrate me. I said to like everyone I've spoken to afterwards, if you take away the result and the fact that it's a cup game, that game there, that 50-minute game, a little bit longer because of penalties, is exactly what them players need as much as possible. Both sets, their players and ours, because it was a fantastic game. So I've got I think over the years I've developed this development head. Results really don't bother me in the slightest. So it's very, very rare. In fact, I don't think ever I will get animated on the sideline unless I feel something is unfair. Like if a referee is allowing things to go and I'm going, listen, it's a foul. The ball went off the pitch. It's not play on. It's a foul. Things have to be done properly. I'm very particular about that. But in terms of results, I think some of our parents get annoyed at it, to be honest, that I really don't care. Yeah. But
Well, I guess that's the best way to develop players. Can't say the same for us, although not quite as bad as we used to be, but sometimes it definitely it comes back and catches us off guard.
yeah, I think what I've learned is you can't change how you are because the players feel it. So if we're playing a team that aren't very good this week, for instance, say, and next week we're playing that really strong team again, I'm not going to change how we are in training, how we warm up, how I am on the sideline, because the players will just feel it, and then they'll start to go, oh, this is a big game today, and then they just won't perform. So I've just tried to keep the same expectations every single week, and what will be with the result.
Yeah, I think that is really good advice as well. And we've been guilty of that, haven't we, Ben? Of this is a derby. We're talking about it every day. We're calling each other, even if we're not talking to our boys, as in our sons, or in training, we're not talking about it. We're talking to each other. They're hearing it. They can sense it from the parents. There is this like momentum shift when you're playing different types of teams, And you know that they feel it. They definitely feel it. And that added pressure of playing those types of teams, it just doesn't help kids. It really
Oh,
doesn't.
100%, mate.
And I remember as a kid when you're playing a cup match or you're playing this, and you have nerves, which is normal and natural, but then you have this added nerves around playing certain teams. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the coach is going to say, your parents are going to say, or whatever it might be. It's just this added level of nerves and of whatever it is, but it's not healthy, and it's completely avoidable.
Yeah, I mean, it is so hard because we're all so passionate. You know, you guys give up so much time. You just want the boys to do so well. You want to show the parents that your training's working and that you know what you're on about and you're helping these kids. But ultimately, you got to remember when them big games are coming up, you know full well that probably 9 out of the 10 kids in your team or your squad have got parents in their ear before the game going, "Oh, big game today. Come on, it's a cup game. You've got to perform. We've got to win." That's enough pressure in itself. So when they come over to us, it's just got to be like, no, this is just normal. This is just today. We're just playing a game. It's just another game. And that's what I always used to say about when we had trialists in at the academy, it must be so hard for them because they don't know people. They're probably getting all them added pressures. Um, yeah, it's real difficult on kids. And I think over time, I think you start to realize that you've just got to try and be as level as possible. This is the same what we talk about the kids. Control your emotions. We have to do that as well. We can't be up and down. It will just affect performances.
100%. I think this is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the 2.5 years doing it. So I would definitely get more fired up for teams talking games that I wanted to win. So they were important to me. But then I would ask myself as we've gone on, are they that important to the kid? No.
Yeah.
And they're mainly playing their mates because the derby, like the inter-club rival games, are just their friends. So I would realize that also to my own son, I would make this game much more of a big thing for him because I'd be talking about it. But what I actually realized in correlation to results is when I didn't make it about that, and I said, if you do X, you will win. So let's talk about what we have to do to win rather than we have to win. So how can we win the game? And asking them the questions, knowing that a lot of these games we would win if we played our football. But if you get emotional and you're not brave and you don't try and do what we want you to do on the ball and you start getting nervous on the ball and all those things, then that is how we will lose the game. Obviously, you have to strike a balance between also you need to be up for it. You've got to work hard because they're going to work hard. And also when my son and Mike's son has played in these games against academies, my son has definitely got better at playing against these academies because I don't talk to him in the car on the way there. I'm not saying anything to him. I just
Yeah.
say to him, enjoy yourself. I say two things to him. They're going to be on you. But you need to scan. I always say to him, have a plan about what you're going to do because you're going to get no time on the ball. Try your best and don't worry about it and just play. You're going to make mistakes because they're going to be really good. So they're going to force you into errors and you've got to deal with it. And my son has got so much better at playing in those games. But before, I'd be like, for like 15 minutes in the car. This is how you got to do this. This is how you're going to do this.
Yeah.
This is how you're going to do this. And then in his head, he's like, oh my God, like this is this thing. So I would totally agree with that. Now, one thing that we wanted to talk to you about, it definitely, I think nerves can be errors and overthinking can definitely happen. But I wanted to talk about playing out from the back. The reason I wanted to talk about it was you have the retreat rule, and I'm just interested in terms of what you think of how you get the best out of that, and both defensively and offensively. But Mike was messaging me in the week saying he was. I don't want to give away too many of our tactics, but Mike was messaging me about something he wanted to try from playing out from the back, and I was thinking about it. But then also we played a game the other week. We were 2-0 down very quickly, and I felt it was because we were playing the ball to one boy, and then all the other three forwards would make the same run in the same line, and then he's isolated on the ball. So what I then did is I told one of the boys, "You need to drop into our half and get closer to him, and then let the other boys make the other runs." It was interesting, like depending on what the opposition do, we want to play out from the back, but then you're putting a lot on those boys that are going to receive it, which is mainly my son and Mike's son and another boy. They're coming for you. When the ball goes to you, you've got to be ready. So I just wanted to know, what are your thoughts around playing out from the back? How do you teach kids that? What are the principles of trying to play out from the back?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got a big thing on this at the moment, to be honest with you, because I am not familiar until this season. Well, obviously I've heard about it, but in the academy, they don't play retreat rule. So this is what I was going back to my point earlier, where I feel like the grassroots and academy need to try and work closer together and steal things from each other. I don't think at grassroots level we should be. I mean, I talk about the retreat rule at the moment. It's almost like lights off, lights on. So we go through under sevens, under eights, under nines, under tens at this moment in time. No pressure on them. There's a retreat rule. You stand at the halfway line. We pass the players for 4 years. They get the ball, and then under 11s, bang, lights on. Everyone can full press. I did a session at the start of this season for a local grassroots side. They'd just gone to under 11. So not only now are they faced with this team that can now stand on the edge of the box, ready to go and pounce, they've also got 9v9 to deal with. The problem with that is there's no teaching going on from under sevens to under tens for these players to deal with a bit of pressure. So I would propose under sevens, why don't we let one player from the opposition go in that half, and you could have a 5v1 overload if you really wanted. Some teams might go 3v1, some teams might go 2, whatever. But it gives you the idea of, listen, this is what it's going to be like to play against a little bit of pressure. And then gradually, like a dimmer switch, we just turn it up as it goes. So under eights, it could be 2 jump in there, then 3, and then we start to look and do the full press. Because I really dislike it. I think it's so false that the ball gets played to a player and then they just charge at that one player. It becomes very difficult for that one player to find the pass out and things like that. And I just think it's false. And I think we've gone past that now, where we've got such better coaches out there that are really focusing on technical actions for these players, on passing, receiving, being calm on the ball. And we're not utilizing it early enough. I don't think. I think it's far too long that we have this sort of retreat rule where they're standing on the halfway line. There's loads of things you could do. You could even bring the retreat line a little bit closer. There's loads of things to play for it. I think it has to be challenged with the FA and sort of try and look at ways at bringing it in earlier. But going back to your point in terms of how we deal with it, so obviously at the moment we have 7v7. They're all on the halfway line waiting for us. We play at the moment a 2-3-1 formation. So what we try and do is we speak about a big formation when we've got the ball and a small formation when we haven't got it. So spreading out, coming closer together, real simple for the kids to understand. On a goal kick, we will play the 2 defenders either side of the box, on the edges of the box. The wider players high and wide, striker in their half, and then our middle player stand on the halfway line. And then what we can't do is obviously play off the opposition, which I was so used to in the academy. We used to look at what it'd be like if we play against one striker that presses, what it'd be like if 2 players pass, and what it'd be like if they go the old famous one, lock on, man for man, whatever. And the kids had to try and work them scenarios out, but we don't have that. So we play to the defender, and we call it a fishing pass. It's basically a pass to say, come and get it. Because we need them to come and try and get it so we can then play beyond them, through them, around them, whatever it may be. Once we've played that first pass, I just say to them, just relax. Don't just play it in there. And we've shown them on the tactics board, and we just talk about numbers. So we say, look, if we play a long pass when they're all there, they've got 6 players on the pitch, and we might have, what would we have, 4 or 5? We'd have the 4, sorry, at the top. So the advantage is with them. So we need some of them to come and chase it. So that's what we try and speak to them about, these fishing passes to get them to come and run and chase for the ball. And then we can obviously look to play the bigger passes into the midfielders or to the wider areas, even better into the striker if we can. But it is difficult, and it does present challenges because of this retreat rule.
Yeah, I think that's really, really similar to our setup as well. And so we've done it a few different ways, but I totally understand the way you're doing it. So we've done that. We do that as well. Two defenders on edge of the boxes. The problem we have when we do that is you pass it to one of those defenders, which is kind of, as you were saying, that kind of fishing pass. They'll start running towards that defender. But then, as Ben said before, our entire team just runs forward, and the kid with the ball at the edge of the box, with a striker bearing down on him, has nowhere to pass, or it seems like they've got nowhere to pass. And the message I was saying to Ben really was, you know, we've got to be more confident in letting them pass back to the keeper, pass it to his other defender, you don't have to play it forward every single time if it's
No.
not on. It is not on. But then it's also teaching the other boys how to find the space so that they're not just making the exact same run every single time, because it becomes very easy to mark, and it also just puts that defender in a lot of danger. And then the other way that we've done it is, we've had our striker coming really deep to get the ball, and it leaves a lot of space, because then their defender might come towards our striker, and then it might leave a pocket in the middle. It kind of depends on the team we're playing, but we do try and change it up a little bit depending on who we're playing, how they press, how quick they are, what types of players they are. But I don't feel like we've cracked it. Do you keep that same methodology whatever team you play, or do you mix things up?
No, we keep it the same. So we just try. So when I go back to how I said with the IDPs, I had to get to know the players. The players also had to get to know me and the expectations. So they were very used to just kicking the ball long, and I'd be like, no, no, no. Listen, we've got to learn to play together. Be patient. So we talk about starting again. So don't be afraid to start again by playing backwards. Look for opportunities. If one player just runs and tries to go and press the ball, he's going to run to the player on the ball. Just switch it to the player that's in space, and if he can, step in. So we do lots of that in training. But the big thing the two things that jumped out at me when I first took over this group of players was, one, their ability to receive the ball on their back foot was one thing that they weren't very good at, so we had to address that quickly, and their ability to play bigger passes with detail. And then the third thing, which we've just started to get them to really grasp when we're playing out from the back. I mean, it's not just the player on the ball. It's so important, like you say, what the players that haven't got the ball do. So sometimes the midfielder that we had, who played in the middle, always wanted to run to the ball. The thing we've said to him is, listen, they are all going to run at the ball. You stand still, but just make sure the ball can see you. So all you'll ever hear me say to him is, appear. I'll say his name and appear. And he knows exactly what that means. Appear in space, make sure there's a line from that ball to your feet. And the moment they started to realize that just standing still and making maybe one or two steps to the right or left, depending on how they run for the ball, and we played through, we were in. So that's the key part. They have to see the method in your madness, if you like. They've got to go, do you know what? He knows what he's on about here. And if I do this, we're going to get some success. So that they were the things that we sort of highlighted, the technical actions to be able to play out. And I have always been, listen, if you give a goal away, it's on me. I don't care. We're ultimately looking at what you'll be like when you're 15, 16, 17, not right now. We're going to give goals away. And we do give silly goals away sometimes, but the players and the parents have all bought into it now. And that's the golden part.
And what about using the goalkeeper? The academies that we've our boys have played in, they use the goalkeeper a lot. They are the keepers are an extension of the team. They're pushing up higher than some teams. They're on the halfway line all the time, it seems. Do you your grassroots team, do you use the goalkeeper, play out from the back, all the way at the back with the goalkeeper?
So until this week, we've not had a goalkeeper, so the players have all been rotating round. But exactly that. So that was my selling point, was, listen, and again, it's all about numbers. If we have the ball, their goalie is going to be in the goal. That means we can have 7 on the pitch and they've got 6. So we've got an extra player. And again, start again. If the ball gets played to your defender and they go and chase him, play back to your goalkeeper. He will then chase the goalkeeper to try and get the ball. Plays to you, back, you're out. And as soon as, again, they start to see it, they start to live and breathe it, they can then step in. What then happens? The next player from their team jumps and leaves one of your players. And we just talk to them all the time about them concepts. Find the spare man. Can the ball see you? Pass the ball strong. Try and play forwards. All them things all the time. It just takes time, and we're nowhere near perfect. But in terms of performances, I can judge it. We played that team last weekend. We drew 2-2. The time before that, we lost 5-0. So we're making progress. And that's all that matters to me, that them players are all getting better.
I love it. Fishing passes. We're definitely going to use that as a concept.
Come and get it. You need them to. You need them to come and chase it. So we talk about that, like, come and get it, and that starts all the way in, in the possession practices we do in training.
Yeah, I think I was saying to Mike's son last week, I felt he's a really good player on the ball. And I kept saying to him, stay on the ball. He wanted to play, quickly too often. And I said, you don't need to do that. You're good. Just wait. Um, with our goalkeeper, we've said that to him. I think with our goalie Albert, it's about him noticing the opportunities to do it, without me having to kind of call out to him like, "Come and get it." And then, because what happens is often the say like the right side centre back, he takes the kick in. The left side centre back comes too close to him. Whereas I'm saying, you go out there, let the goalkeeper come and get it, and then once you receive it, you can go out to the other side. Otherwise, if we're both standing in the same position and someone gets on top of you, you've got nowhere to go. I've said to him, you'll see the ball more if you stay in the middle rather than keep moving around. Like, it's great being marauding and box to box and all of that. I love it, but there's only you in the middle. If we had like more players in centre mid, it'd be different. But if you actually see the ball more, if you stay where you are, so I think on that stuff on goal kicks, and as always with coaching, it's the communication, right? It's how you explain it, and listen to you explain it, and the words you use, and how you make that a visual component for them to digest. That is the key to it. Is you can say all this football jargon to them, but they're just sitting there like, yeah, mate, I don't know what you're talking about. So the way you explain it is definitely key. What?
Yeah, I would just touch upon the bit where he said about, saying about passing too early. I've literally just had the same conversation with our group of players, and I'm saying to him, you passing the ball too early at the moment, that defender is the same distance away from you and the person you're passing the ball to. You have to stay on the ball longer so he gets closer, almost to the point where he feels like he can just nick it off you, and then you pass the ball. Because now your player that you've passed the ball to is going to have a lot more time on the ball. So it's just little things like that, and I think that's a key message to some players. Just pass it too early, and you're like, listen, be calm, relax, stay on the ball a little bit longer, make him come. Again, it's fishing, isn't it? They're fishing touches now. The touches to attract the pressure. Come and get it. Come and get it. No, bang, play to my mate who's now got more time and space.
And with my son, it was more about wanting him to drive with the ball. My son would. There was one attack on Sunday where he got the ball and he ran forward and it was in a great position and he didn't have the belief in himself to carry it. So he stepped on top of the ball and then come back. And once the play carried on and it stopped, I said to him, you're slowing it down there. Like just carry it. If you lose it, you lose it. But now when you put your foot on the ball and they're all chasing you, they're all now behind the ball.
Yeah.
Just drive with it. And also what I wanted to teach him was the detail of, when you dribble the ball and cutting across in front of the player.
Back
You know, like,
around the back of them, so they cut. Yeah, you
yeah,
cut
yeah,
the lane off.
exactly. So now you either cut in front of them, and if you cut in front of them, they got to foul you. And then if you go behind them, then they've got to turn their body around. But if you run in a straight line, now they're side by side of you, and it becomes a race.
Yeah,
Having actually,
Eden Hazard was brilliant at that, mate. So you should
yeah.
look for some clips of him. Really good at.
And I think with my son, it's really good for players that aren't really quick, because players that can, foot race, go flat out, then that's not a problem. But
Yeah.
you need those little details if you haven't got that electric speed.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
and I wanted to go over that with him, which I will do in training. What about on the other side of it? How do you defend? How do we press? How do we teach kids how to press?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, like I go back to the point of with the when I was at the academy, and this is what we're missing out on, is we used to talk about the little things of jumping a player up in from defence to midfield and pushing the midfield on so we could press with two, and we can't do that now, because we have this retreat rule. So what we try and do is almost let them play the first pass. Unfortunately, a lot of the teams are not getting the same coaching as what it sounds like your players are getting, and certainly what our players are getting. And a lot of them just result in kicking it long, and we just pinch it that way. So it is a real difficult one. I mean, in terms of pressing, I mean, we just try and creep up the pitch together. I mean, we talk about sliding up the pitch together and sliding down the pitch together, and we've just got to try and stay together, and that's with the goalkeeper as well. So I have the goalkeeper high. He's not standing in the goal when they've got the goal kick, because he can cover the space in behind. And 9 times out of 10, a lot of them just kick the ball long, which is a shame because they're getting a disservice. But it is what it is, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think in fairness to some of the, I mean, it's hard, right? Like some of the coaches might be sitting there thinking, we haven't got the boys to knock it around. Then they choose to go long, and then that is almost counterproductive as well because that means no one's touching the ball because it's going from one end to the other. So
Yeah.
you might feel like they can't cope with it, but then they don't touch the ball.
Yeah, but we've got to try and get the coaches in the mindset as if you haven't got the players, we've got to try and you're never going to get the players if they never have a go at it. So
Yeah.
that's where we've got to try and push that.
Does anything change with what you do or how you coach when the goalie has the ball in his hands? So cross comes in, goalie picks it up in his hands. We've got a drop kick, or he can throw it or whatever. Now the ball's in play. It's not a set piece like the goal kick. What do you do there?
Yeah, so we have always said to the players, now, there's this term that people want to just try and it looks prettier if we play short, but ultimately the first pass has always been, ever since I've been coaching and playing the game, has always been, can we get it in and behind? So if my goalkeeper gets it and our striker's still high and he's 1v1 and I'm going hit the 1v1, let him have a go, something might happen. And then we're ultimately going to try and run forwards quicker than they run back. But again, it all depends on the scenario. A lot of the time, I would never just say just boot it out your hands. It's got to be a delivered pass. You're trying to get it to them, whether you're throwing it out, whether you're having a go at the little sidewinders, whatever. It's got to be delivered with a bit of detail. And if not, then we'll just look to play closer to home. But like I said, we've not had a goalkeeper, so a lot of them prefer to try and play with their feet anyway, which is great. So yeah. That's probably my bit on that.
In terms of drills, and I don't know if there's any that you can remember that you did on the Football DNA app. Are there any drills that you use for this stuff that can help them coach the principles of what you're talking about?
I can't remember. We've done quite a few on there to now, but technical practices, the passing and receiving, back foot, them concepts that stick with us the whole time. Every player needs to try and pass the ball strong and smooth. Use the inside of your foot, pass it strong, because it's harder to intercept, gives players more time on the ball. That is a message that we hammer from under 6 all the way through. It's a constant. Body shape to receive. Obviously, they need to be able to receive on their back foot as much as possible. Scan to gather some information, what's around you. We always start with the 10 session. They'll start in boxes, so they get lots of goes. It's always a 4v2 box generally. So loads of goes at passing and receiving, moving up and down the lines, making sure the ball can see you. And then we tend to do a 3v3 plus 2 possession practice, which sort of lends into our formation. And then we can start to talk about little things. When the ball breaks your line and it goes from the defender into the attacker, that's when the midfielders, slide up to support the ball. It's just all them little things. Like I say, it's just you have to be constant messages all the time and they have to be the same.
Quick break. Before we dive back into the episode, we want to take a moment to help you level up your coaching game with the help of Football DNA, the ultimate coaching platform that's been a game changer for us. What do we love about it? It's super easy to use, saves us loads of time, and best of all, it doesn't just show you how to set up a practice, it teaches you how to coach it properly. And that's the key. The sessions are put together by top level coaches. We're talking first team staff at clubs like Celtic, Crystal Palace and West Ham. Proper pedigree. You get videos, diagrams, full explanations, downloadable PDFs, and if you need it, a full 36-week training plan tailored to the age group you are coaching. Our lads have loved the sessions. It's made our lives easier, improved our coaching, and taught us loads. Now we genuinely look forward to training and developing our players. Check it out at footballdna.co.uk. That's footballdna.co.uk, or you can download the app. Just search Football DNA. Trust us now and you'll thank us later. This is brilliant, Michael, because you're a proper coach, and then you've also got this grassroots team. And I think so many of our listeners, when we get
proper coaches on, they're always like, yeah, but how's this going to work in grassroots? And I think very loud and clear is that, yes, there needs to be more communication between, academies and grassroots setups. But at the same time, the principles remain the same. You've slotted into this team and you haven't changed in any way. And yes, there's a little bit more challenges around time on the ball and actual training times and things like that are different. But ultimately, the vast majority of it is the same, and certainly your training principles are the same. Just one question that I wondered if this was slightly different in that the perception I have, even though, my boy's not been through an academy, right? But if he was, just say he was picked up by a team and he went through their academy, I'd be saying to him, this is a coach that knows exactly what they're doing. You listen to everything he says, and it's fun, obviously, but it's an academy setup, so you have to take it a little bit more seriously. Whereas at grassroots, trying to keep these kids engaged is so difficult. Have you found it that the actual engagement with the kids any different between the academy ones that you work with and then your grassroots team?
Yeah. I mean, the things that have jumped out at me, definitely in these colder months, is I can't remember when we were coaching in the academy, kids would moan about being cold. There weren't many of them. Whereas some of the grassroots kids are like, it's cold today, I'm really cold. And that was something that jumped out at me. And the mentality from the parents, some of them, like, they'll message me and go, is training still on tonight? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, why? Oh, it's just normally because it's raining, it'd get cancelled. Nah, we don't cancel sessions. So they've been different, but like I said, my approach, I don't know any other way. So I've always been a firm believer that we'll, try and stretch every single player, put the bar high, and then it'll just raise the floor. And these players are on the journey that we're on together, and we're all just going to try and, like I say, just try and be the best version of ourselves every single week. I'm going to try and give you everything I know, and I hope you're going to do the same. But yeah, like I say, in terms of the two, grassroots and academy, I mean, it's the same game, is it not? Two goals, one ball. So we can still coach it exactly the same. Maybe, I can refer to certain things with the players. The big difference for me in grassroots compared to the academy is the two ends of the pitch. The players in the academy don't miss that one-on-one. It goes in the back of the net. Those players in the academy are sliding in front to block that shot. That's the tiny little bits that I have noticed in terms of the mindset of some of the players. Some of the academy boys will do absolutely anything to stop that ball going in the net, whether it be a foul, me pulling you, slide in to jump in front. And like I say, at the top end of the pitch, 9 times out of 10, they're putting it in the back of the net on the 1v1. We could maybe have 10 one-on-ones and score 4, whereas they're 9, 8 or 9. That's been the big takeaway probably for me this season.
I mean, Mike, how much does that literally hit every note that we've said when we played the academy teams? It's like you've listened to those episodes. So Brighton specifically, but we've played against various academies. Well, not us, sorry, Ballers Elite have. And the one thing we said is they want it. They're switched on. Like, they are zoned in. They're in the zone. They are tapped into the game, and they are chasing everything, and they're hunting everything down. And yeah, they're absolutely going for it. And then when you make a mistake at the back, they punish you. You might get away with it at grassroots. They might, miss the shot, make the wrong decision or whatever. But when you lose the ball at the back, invariably it's going in the back of the net. And not just because they hit the ball clean, but because they make a good decision. They might wait for a pass. They might lay it onto a player in a better position. They're just, yeah, I mean, literally, it's good to hear you saying that, because when people ask me about it, I often say, take technique as a red, right? They're obviously good. But when you've got good grassroots players, the technique is there's not massive differences. It's pretty similar. I mean, I'd say with our boys, I would say they're not a million miles away from that level of technical ability. Certainly not some of them are right up there and as good, if not better, than a lot of the academy boys I've seen. but they're just on a different planet in terms of mindset, and that is that's what's frustrating. It's like, why are you not willing to die? To, why are you not willing to die to stop that ball going in the back of the net? And it's often
hard. It's hard, and that's why them kids are in the academies. You know, it was when I was doing the pre-academy, when I was looking at under sixes, that you can't judge an under six because they're so young, but that would be literally one of the first things I looked for. Which kid is running around and looks like they care? Brilliant, hit him. Let's work with him. You know,
And it's so true, and it's so frustrating when people say, "Yeah, but they're that young. How can you tell?" And it's like, you're right. They can. Everyone changes and develops 100%. There's absolutely not like a golden set rule. It's not in concrete. It's not. So it's not cemented. But I guarantee you that kid at that age, even that young, who wants it more than any other kid, the reason they get to where they get to is because they just see, to them, like losing is not an option.
Yeah.
And they're willing to do everything they can for it. And it is, from someone who actually knows football, to see, that, and to echo kind of what we've said in previous episodes. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
I just remember this one boy at Crystal Palace, I think it was, and he was really small. He wasn't that strong. He wasn't that fast. Technically, he was pretty good, but he was the best player on the pitch by miles because he just didn't give up. He got a ball smashed in his face from like 2 yards. He got straight back up. It was like he was the Terminator. He just did not give up. And I just remember seeing the same thing and thinking, geez, that was when we started this whole narrative around, can you coach that into kids, or is it just a natural thing? And we've had so many different people speak about that over the years. I don't know if you've got an opinion on that, Michael, whether you can teach that belief or not.
yeah, no, like my one thing is when I was with the academy, and you still see them now. They're not normal. Them kids, they are not normal. Like they're not. They're freaks. They want more. They, like you say, they'll get smashed with the ball, but they'll bounce back up. They're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's my thing, mate. They're just not normal kids. They're really not. It's scary. It is absolutely scary. And the thing is as well, there's just the levels to it. I mean, we're talking about my grassroots team now. Or we'd go to the Cat 2 academy that I was coaching at, and there'd be a step up. But then I remember going places, and you go all around the country, and you'd go and play against these Cat 1 clubs, and it's just another level there. And then sometimes you'll play against one team, and they'll have this one lad, and you're like, he's just different level again. It's scary. It really is scary what there is out there. But it's credit to all the good coaching that's going on up and down the country, and these opportunities these kids are getting. It's brilliant.
If you're involved in running a grassroots football club, the football part is easy. It's the admin that takes over your evenings, weekends, and sometimes your sanity. We're excited to partner with Love Admin, the super simple club management platform designed to take all that admin stress off your plate. Whether you're managing a youth team, a community club, or a full academy, Love Admin helps you run things smoothly without drowning in spreadsheets, WhatsApp groups, and late night payment chases. Love Admin handles memberships and registrations, automatically collects payments on time without you having to chase anyone, keeps all your messages to players, parents, coaches, and volunteers in one place, helps you organise volunteers, and gives you clear reports so you always know what's happening across your club. If your club's been saying there has to be a better way to run this, there is. It's Love Admin. Right, before we get to the list of questions, I just wanted to a similar story. So on Tuesday, my partner, she rings me. I never know. I'm 43. What do you call them if you're not married? Are they your partner? Are they your girlfriend? Girlfriend feels like something you say at school. I don't know what to call her.
You got to put a ring on her. That's why, Ben. It makes things a lot easier.
Well, I don't think I think she wants that less than I do. So anyway, the Kerry rings me. My son, he's tired. He doesn't want to go. So he does train 4 times a week, but he doesn't want to go. And I feel instant like anger. He's had a break over Christmas. I think he'd done 1 week back, and he gets on. I get him on the phone. He's like, "I'm tired." I'm like, "So what?" I was like, I don't care I don't care. Like, 1, I paid for it, and 2, while you're sitting at home doing nothing, those other boys are getting better. So what if you're tired? When you get there, you'll be all right. And I was like, that's life. Do you think I wanted to get up and go to work today? No, I absolutely did not. I'd much rather have sat home and done nothing. But I got up and I did it. Now he's crying and whatnot. And then in my head, I'm part of my brain's like, "You just gotta relax, man. He's 9." But then I'm like, "No, I'm absolutely not having that. You are going." And then obviously I wasn't there to enforce this. And the softer parent let him stay at home. And all the way home, when I was walking back from the train station, I kept thinking, "Just leave it. Don't say." By the way, like 3 hours have passed now. And I'm thinking, "Don't say anything when you walk in. Don't say anything when you walk in. It's gone now. Just leave it. Door opens. Don't ask me for anything because you don't put the door." It was like I just couldn't. I was like, "I need you to know that not turning up is absolutely unacceptable, and I will not stand for it. You got to be ill. You got to be really ill, or something significant's happened. I don't care if you're tired. Being tired is not a reason to not go." And I just couldn't help myself. And I mean, look, we're over it now, but we're over it now. A week ago.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, that sort of happens, and you got to think, like, obviously over the Christmas period. I mean, they do obviously have that. I mean, our first session back, I was like, "Oh, what is going on here?" But then you forget they've literally had probably 2 weeks of just sitting, playing, doing whatever they want, being kids. So yeah, I mean, it's normal for that sort of thing to happen. But I mean, like I'd just sort of say to him, like I would have touched upon, like you said, if it was my daughter and she was the same, I'd go, listen, there are times you are going to wake up where you don't want to do something, but ultimately we've got to do it. And just remember, your dream, I'd imagine, like most young boys, is to be a professional footballer. And these academies, it's normal to feel tired, but they're not after normal. It's not.
No.
It is, and that's what I say to our players. Like, are you tired after this 1v1 practice? Yeah. Well, we've got another 3 minutes. It's normal for kids your age now to be tired, but we're not after normal there. Simple as that. And like I say, he's got to try and find that within him to go, "Now, do you know what? I'm gonna go." And it can't be just because dad's in the background.
I totally get that. So let's jump into the list of questions. So this guy is a dad from your team. John, I don't know how to pronounce his name. John Brearley, is that right?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. So he said lots of nice things about you, but I told him I'm not going to share that because no one wants to hear that. But what he wanted to know is, what is the hardest part of running an under 10s team, from managing parents and expectations to balancing development, fun, and competition?
Ooh, me personally with this team I've got now, I'd say the hardest part is managing game time. We've ended up with quite a big squad. So we've actually got 13 signed on for a 7v7. So we have got a big squad. So I can only give them sort of half a game a weekend. That's been the hardest thing. It obviously goes against everything. And I'm so used to having an 80-minute game at a weekend. So that's where I go back to the FA and how I feel we need to challenge certain things. Obviously, they've gone down this 3v3 model and things like that. I think we could have extended game time. I think I take our team, for instance, we get a 50-minute game. Why don't we add another 25 minutes if they want to go smaller sided? We could have gone 4v4s for 20 minutes against your team if we were playing you, and then we play a big game. I think that's important. So that would be my biggest and hardest thing. Going to his point, would be probably managing game time. Has been tough. I'd love to be able to give them more, but there's just not time in the week or at the weekend, unfortunately.
So we had another message from Dave Hoyland from Vickerstown under sevens, who wants to know, how do you choose player of the match? They recently rewarded bravery and resilience over goals. What should coaches really be looking for when picking that player of the match?
Well, we've just introduced actually a player of the match trophy. It's something obviously we've never done in the academy, but again, this is where we could do certain things. I think players miss out from that. I know the grassroots, I'm sure you're the same. The grassroots would always have at the end of season awards night, a little disco and things like that. We never had that in the academy, and I always used to think they were probably some of my best memories as a kid. So going back to the point in terms of picking a player of the match, we have just introduced that, and the things we would look for might be an individual performance if they've done really well, but it'd be close to the sort of things we've spoken about as a team. So, we spoke about trying to be lions on the pitch the other week. Like, don't be happy when the other team have got the ball. Go and try and get it back. That was the theme that we spoken about. So we just went with what child we felt was the best at that game. But I think it has to resonate to the sort of messages you're giving the players. I would never just go, "Oh, he scored 3 today, player of the match," because you've got to try and have a wider lens and reward other things other than goals. Because otherwise you end up with them egocentric players that just want to try and run through everyone and try and score the goals, and it's hard. It is hard with that. So we definitely try and reward things like who's worked the hardest, best defender, just an outstanding performance, maybe a great assist, just things like that.
Did we get the parents to vote? Because I kind of felt that I was actually too emotionally involved in the game. I know that my personality's kind of, I'm just not, I'm too like in it. I think that it's better if a group of people make the decision. But I will actually just, I will add to this, having heard you say that, I'm going to say to them, this is what we went over in training, and this is what I want them to do. Can you pick based on this? And I think that's actually a pretty good way to go. Quick one for the coaches and volunteers listening. If you're sorting kits for a grassroots team, you'll know the pain. It's never as simple as it should be. That's exactly why Discount Football Kits exists. They supply quality football kits at prices that actually work for grassroots clubs. No nonsense, no hard sell, just reliable team wear that turns up on time and looks the part on match day. From full team kits to training wear for growing squads, everything's built to make your life easier. If you're tired of overpaying or overthinking kits, head to discountfootballkits.com and get your team sorted today. Now, Adam A, he asked, do you think JPL is actually worth it?
I've not had much experience with the JPL, but obviously the one thing that I know about the JPL is obviously you have to do quite a bit of travelling for your games. I mean, we always tried to work on if a game is further away than the amount of minutes on the pitch, is it worthwhile travelling that far? But again, obviously, hopefully that the JPL has got the better players within it, so it would be a challenge for certain players. I think it's just managing is it worthwhile, the travel and things like that, would be my things. But in terms of my sort of knowledge of it, I've not really had too much to do with the JPL, to be honest.
Very, very similar to us. Now, just on Adam A, he was one of many coaches that messaged in about mixed ability, all various different questions, ranging from how do you challenge the stronger players? How do you bring up the weaker players? How do you manage parents with mixed ability? I'm interested to hear everything you've got to think about it. But one of his main questions, which differed from the other parents, was, do you believe clubs should select sides based on ability and move them up and down so that the stronger players stay with the stronger players, or should it just be mixed ability? Give me a whole thoughts on mixed ability, Michael.
Or how long we got? I think what's important to remember, again, development head on, is that the best players now might not necessarily be the best players in 5 years' time, and the weaker players now, as long as they've got the right mindset that they want to learn, could end up being your best players in 5 years' time. And I saw that happen year after year after year. Under 9 best player wasn't the best player at under 16s. So we've got to try and have that headset on. In terms of our mindset, is every player must be stretched and every player needs supporting. So that comes from session planning, and that is the key part, is your session plan. It can't just be aimed at the top players because the weaker players will get overwhelmed. You can't then just focus it on the weaker players because then the best players would get bored. So the challenge is to think of ways to level it up and level it down. So, I mean, we look at, for instance, we've got a game tonight, not a game tonight, training tonight. And in the 1v1 practice, we've got some players who absolutely thrive in 1v1s, love getting at people, love trying to beat players. And we've got some that don't. They just like their passers or their defenders. So we've got to try, without labeling, you guys are the best, you are the you are the weaker ones, we try and be creative in how we design the practices. So we might have, sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 1v1 practices side by side, and we'll do it in rounds. So it might be a 3-minute round, and every time if you're the defender, you pinch it and score in that goal, it's worth 2. Every time you beat a defender and you score, it's worth 1. Keep your scores. The bottom 2 scores get relegated. The top 2 scores on that pitch get promoted, and you end up sort of resetting each round, and then you end up with, without saying it, weaker players are down here and stronger players end up here. And because that changes all the time, it rebalances itself. So this week it might be these players. In 4 weeks' time, if we were to do that again, it might be different players, which is nice. But I think I always, and I think I said it earlier, is always try and pitch sessions at stretching the top, which then automatically brings the floor up. The risk you obviously have is that your better players find it too easy. So you get that low challenge, low effort, I'm bored, this is rubbish. And then you end up it being too hard, and the bottom players then turn around and go, they're finding excuses. I need to go toilet, trying to hide away. Can I get a drink? I need to go to the toilet. So it's finding that right challenge for all of them. I think that's where the growth happens. But yeah, I mean, I think of it in school as well. For instance, if I was to look at a kid's maths book and you open it up and he's got green tick, 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 some people will go, brilliant, he's doing really well. But I'm turning around and going, that lesson's pitched too easy for him. You've got no crosses. There's nothing in there that's been a challenge. He's just writing answers. There's no working out. So that is too easy. So, if let's go to football and we talk about we'll pick a 1v1 practice. Player 1 is getting loads of success, scoring loads of goals every single time. Goal, 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 goal. Player 2 is dribbling out, losing it, bang, losing it, losing it, losing it. Player 1 becomes completely bored and unengaged because it's too easy. Whereas player 2 is completely shut away. So neither of them players are getting anything out of the session. So we're not stretching the top, we're not making the bottom bare. So we're actually focusing on the middle, and it's just flat. So no growth is happening. So that's where we've got to try and think of ways to turn it up for player 1 and turn it down for player 2. It's a massive topic, and it's something through Fox as well, we've just started doing some CPD events for coaches. Myself and Ollie. Ollie's really pushing that at the moment in terms of building a community for coaches like yourselves, and he's put some great sort of resources together, and one of them is based upon this book, and it's brilliant. I read it and took information away from it. So there will be coaches that will read that and go, wow, it's a great resource. So yeah, we could talk about it forever.
We'll certainly link to the book that you're referencing, because I think that could help a lot of coaches. And then these sessions you were talking about, is that where can people find that?
So we did a sort of one where we invited local coaches here. I think we had 24 signed up in the end. So we invited them here to come and watch a session, and then we went in the classroom and spoke about things. Ollie's got an online community, which is a community through his WhatsApp, and he's constantly on TikTok and things like that. He's done a couple of webinars. I was on one last night. Just great to sort of, the idea is we want to try and be like an online head of coaching kind of thing for local grassroots coaches we get so many questions every week. What sort of sessions do you do? Can you send us session plans? And you take it for granted, I think, a lot of the things, but we just want to try and help, make as many coaches better as possible. And like I say, it's been good. It's been really good to be able to talk, and it helps us learn teaching people as well.
And that's just for everyone's reference. It's Ollie Porteous, right? And it is,
Yeah.
and he's spent like 10 years in Man City's academy.
Yeah. He's got a real wealth of knowledge, mate. He's brilliant. He's certainly challenged me the last few months. He's been involved with us, and he's definitely making me a better coach. But yeah, like I say, the ebooks he's put together, I know I spoke to him previously about it, and I'm sure he'd be able to offer a sort of a discount for your listeners for sure.
Well, we'll put those links in the description on both YouTube and if you're listening on Apple and Spotify. Mike, do you want to grab the final question?
Yes, and finally we had a message from Anka, a coach and parent from Germany. She raises a big question, really. Coaching behaviour on match days. She's concerned about coaches shouting at players for mistakes and wants advice on how coaches can communicate better, support learning, and bring the best out of young players, especially in high pressure environments. I guess from what you've been saying, Foxy, is that this just isn't something that you've been affected by, but there are so many grassroots coaches that do get totally animated and completely different people on the sidelines for a match in particular.
Yeah, it's I personally don't get like that, but I have seen it, and I almost have to bite my tongue sometimes and just go like, "Ugh." It's hard to see sometimes, and I ultimately I just think to myself like, you shouting and screaming at that kid is not going to make them perform any better. So why are you doing it? But it comes with um time, hopefully. People, over time and experience, they start to realize that this isn't the best way. But again, I think parents sometimes, when I've seen it, I think, why are you not challenging that coach? Why are you not saying, why are you talking to my child like that? You wouldn't let your teacher do it, so why is it acceptable on a football pitch? Equally the same with parents, as adults, whether it be the coach or parents, some of the things you see are quite worrying. And I think there needs to be more around education, whether it comes from clubs or the FA, around how we should be on the sidelines. Because my experience is, no matter what you shout, is not going to help them kids. So it is hard, especially on a match day when you think that is the one thing the kids are always asking for, is it not? When are we playing a match is the question you get at training all the time. So, like, match days it should be a very vital tool in these kids' development. And I think it does go unmissed a little bit, especially with coaches. I think we forget that this is a golden zone in their development. It's the bit where we've got them eating out of our hands. And I think it's where we've got to try and really use it a little bit better for development. I know some things I know I do now is, when we're playing locally, we've got a player at the moment. He's actually on trial with an academy, and I'm hoping we lose him. I'm hoping he gets signed. I think it'd be brilliant for him. But he often plays on the wings, but sometimes we'll look and go, right, who's their best player? And we try and match him up 1v1 to give him a real challenge. And that's how match day should be. No kid should be made to feel like that mistake cost us the game, or you should have scored that chance. One of our players last week missed the penalty, and he was absolutely gutted. But I said to him, we wouldn't have got to penalties if you hadn't scored your chance. It wouldn't have got to penalties if one of our players had a block their shot. It wouldn't have got to penalties if that player. Where do you draw the line? So, as hard as it is, it's a powerful tool, match day, and I think we have to try and make sure it's done the right way without creating these. I mean, it's really hard, but in creating these almost cauldrons of emotion, um,
Yeah.
it's hard. It is really hard for them kids.
What I'd say to anyone listening is use me and Mike as examples of people that are completely human and have made these mistakes ourselves and continue to do so on the odd occasion. It's very difficult to, depending on your personality, and certainly my personality is very emotional. Um, and given my experience as a kid, where I had a dad who was very hard on me, and that is kind of, you think to yourself, I won't behave like that, but then your brain is actually wired by the experiences that you have, and it's extremely difficult to get to this age and rewire your brain. But me and Mike, I would say, and all the people that we've had message in that have made like tremendous progress are examples of, if you're willing to put the work in and dedicate yourself to being better, then you can do it. You don't no point beating yourself up. You're a human being, you make mistakes, you messed up. And we will still mess up. But it's better that you at least have the courage to recognize it, to go away. Listen to all the podcasts. There's so many. There's so many, with loads of amazing experts giving loads of brilliant advice, giving us advice, because they might have been those people, and you can make it better, and you can get better, and you can improve. So my advice would be, if you're listening to this and you know a coach who's a psycho, send him our podcast, and we'll do our best to help him. But you know, like you're never going to be perfect, but at least if you're willing to try and talk to your child about it as well. Like I always think, explain to them, sorry, I did that. Like I did it because of this. I didn't mean to. I apologize. It's not you, it's me. Um, I've had great success with that. And so yeah, that would be my thoughts on it. But again, this has been another brilliant conversation. You've given me loads of stuff to think about. Where can people find you, Michael? If they listen to this pod, they've loved what you've got to say. Where can they find you on social, follow you, and get more from you?
Yeah, so we've got the Fox Focusing on Excellence Instagram. That's mainly where we are. Obviously, we've got weekly sessions. I think we're at about 160 kids now a week, which is great. And then we've obviously got our 2 teams that compete in the local league. But yeah, like I said, in terms of what we're doing, there's that in terms of helping the kids, but in terms of helping coaches, that's something we're really trying to do as well. So please feel free to drop any messages on there, because I absolutely love, helping other coaches. I know we've had conversations and stuff previously about your team and helping your son out with little things. So yeah, I'm more than happy to pick up any messages.
Well, that's the thing, right? And that's is what we're saying. If you are a coach who is struggling to do the things that we've talked about, the point is to have a community where you can go to someone who can help you with that, and not just either like be beating yourself up and then, wondering to yourself, how am I going to get better at this? There are coaches out there that want to help, and that's the community that we're trying to create.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's loads out there where you can literally go and get a session plan, but ultimately it's not going to help your players, because you're not going to deliver it the way that it's been designed by by that coach. So what we're trying to do is try and make coaches better, rather than just going, here's a session plan, and we can throw loads at you. Like there's loads that we've spoken about today, but you can't physically embed all of that tomorrow. You couldn't pick that up today and go, right, I'm going to embed that all tomorrow in tomorrow's game. I can't do that. I couldn't have gone into the team that we're working with and I'm going to go boom, 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 boom. It has to be a process, because you'll just overload yourself and overload the kids, and you'll end up just not delivering what they need.
Well, you got almost 80 episodes of this podcast to listen to. So by the time you've listened to 80 episodes, 80 hours of this, you'll probably be Pep Guardiola.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Well, what about his wages? That's for sure. But Michael, I really appreciate your time, mate.
Thanks, mate.
so much.
Nah, thank you for it again, but like I say, anytime.
And that's where we'll leave it for today. If you're part of a mixed ability team and you're not sure what to do, you're not alone. It's hard. You don't want to upset anyone. Everyone says it's just for fun, but somehow it all feels very serious at 9 a.m. on a Sunday. So listen, take a breath. Try to see it from both sides of the story. The parents of the mini Messis and the parents with kids who just want to run around like an overexcited puppy. Have an honest conversation and then make a decision that feels right for everyone involved. And once you've done that, don't sweat it. Whether your dream is trophies or just smiles and muddy boots, it's not your game, it's the kids' game. Your job, help them love football. Do the best you can, and remember, it's only kids' football. If you enjoyed the podcast, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes. And if you want to check out our previous episodes, just click here.